Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa. Let's continue.
Lu Fang unsheathed his spear and pressed it against the man's temple. Suddenly, a tall woman in silver heels emerged from another vessel, walked with authority, and pressed her boot against the fat man's skull, forcing his eyes wide with dread and sweat pouring uncontrollably. He understood immediately that his situation had turned dire. The elf-eared woman folded her arms, looking down at the trembling guide. With sharp interest, she asked Lu Fang whether this man had tried to steal influence from the realm of the immortal-born prodigy. Lu Fang gave a firm nod, replying with a grave expression. He ordered her to subdue him and extract the truth through merciless questioning. They needed proof of his misconduct to justify themselves when the prodigy returned. The woman hesitated in thought, but soon, more aristocrats began to emerge from their ships and approach. Both Lu Fang and the woman turned with stern eyes that gleamed with tension. While her heel ground against the guide's head, a noble strode forward with open arms, smiling as he declared that this pitiful creature should be thanked. Without his misfortune and blindness to reality, none of them would have received such a perfect chance to greet the immortal born. With a sly grin, the noble proposed that the guide serve as their ceremonial sacrifice. The gathering elites agreed, realizing it was a cunning suggestion. Lu Fang's lips curved upward in agreement. Before them stood a bloodline of immortal quality, currently at level 9, but destined to rise. With passing years, such a prodigy could escape this entire sector and even this galaxy. The elf-eared woman touched her chin, her gaze glowing with exhilaration. She envisioned the moment he would transcend beyond immortal genius into an immortal marquis, perhaps even duke, or an immortal king. Yet, as she crushed the guide's head beneath her heel, Lu Fang felt bitter regret that Lu Shang was not born within their white mist star domain. With a deep breath, his eyes hardened with determination, realizing that having Speaker Zhang Lu secretly forging ties on their behalf was fortunate beyond measure. Meanwhile, the guide's face was drenched in sweat and his heart raced with overwhelming terror. He alone knew the truth and felt trapped in a storm of fear. His eyes widened further as streams of tears cascaded like a flood, his mind screaming in horror at the thought of whether he had indeed stolen wealth from the very land of the immortal heir. The realization shook him numb, unable to accept that fate's impossible 1 in a billion strike had fallen directly on him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the woman continued grinding her heel upon the wretched guide's head. The only thing the fat man could do was drown in regret, cursing the day he ever accepted a position in the trade guild. He thought it would have been far wiser to simply gamble on the celestial lottery and live quietly while waiting for fortune to arrive. Poor Zhang Yu slowly stirred back to awareness. Her face pale with terror, she began to cough while her eyelids fluttered. The woman pressed her heel harder into the man's skull, demanding that he kneel with respect. When Zhang Yu finally raised her head, her mind swirled with disarray. She had no idea where she was or why such a scene unfolded. Lu Fang turned and, wearing a calm expression, strode toward her without a word. Despite his ruthless aura, he carried himself with grace. He extended a hand and gently lifted Zhang Yu, asking if she could stand after the ordeal. With a faint smile, she whispered that she felt far better and expressed her gratitude. As Lu Fang's tranquil gaze softened, he withdrew a crystalline vial of emerald hue, removing its lid so that drops shimmered as they fell to the earth. Zhang Yu's eyes locked on the liquid, widening in disbelief at the vast power emanating from it. When the drops touched the ground, new growth erupted instantly. Green shoots appeared from bare soil as vitality surged. Lu Fang's lips curved with satisfaction while Zhang Yu stared in awe. She could hardly comprehend what she was seeing. Carefully watching, she realized the vial's contents had revived the land in moments. Her chest swelled with strange warmth, and she pressed her hand against her heart as waves of energy soothed her. Her injuries melted away under the tide of life force, leaving only comfort behind. Raising the vial with serenity, Lu Fang explained that none of his remedies were below level 11. This violet essence was designed for titans, and had to be diluted 100 million times to be consumed. Thus, his only option was to spill it upon the soil and let the world drink its nourishment. Zhang Yu remained silent, overwhelmed. Lu Fang extended the vial, reasoning that if her core wounds could be eased and her strength elevated by its radiance, then the prodigy's homeland could not be as desolate as believed. Zhang Yu's thoughts raced without end. Unsure what to say, she lowered her head with gratitude, acknowledging his grace in saving her life. Her cheeks warmed, for the treasure was beyond measure. She understood a single flask could transform the fate of a star. Though her spirit had only been grazed and would mend with rest, This curative essence was worth more than kingdoms. She steadied herself and ceased bowing, her face glowing crimson as she realized her power had already grown. Closing her eyes, she sighed as memories returned of desperate days spent gathering scraps of crystals to trade for pitiful leftovers. Yet now, basking in the aura of a supreme lifeform, her cultivation leapt forward effortlessly. This was truly overwhelming. The elf-eared woman shoved the fat man forward with a sharp kick, commanding him to obey. The guide's attitude shifted at once. He resembled a beaten hound, trembling and compliant. Zhang Yu's gaze lingered on the scene, utterly shaken. No wonder even a rank 10 guide was considered insignificant, a creature they could erase with a mere flick of their hand. With astonishment in her eyes, she approached Lu Fang and asked about the sovereign figure he had just referred to. Lu Fang's focus shifted toward her. With a calm smile, he admitted that she had not yet heard anything about the immortal sovereign. Lu Fang revealed that this sovereign was none other than the one who had departed from this very azure planet. Zhang Yu envisioned Lu Shang's grin, her eyes widening in disbelief, leaving her paralyzed with shock. Lu Fang understood she often regarded him as the god of war. He explained that Sovereign Lu Shang possessed the rarest immortal-class body ever born, unmatched across both the White Mist Domain and the Yamu Expanse, celebrated as the brightest talent their 13 sectors had produced in 1,000,000 years. Hence, the Yamu Star Federation had formally crowned him immortal. The surrounding martial saints gasped in astonishment. One of them raised his arm toward Lu Fang, urging the others to pay attention, for he had just declared they came from Lord Lu's lineage. The saints murmured together, astounded to hear that Lord Lu had departed Blue Star only months before, yet already ascended to become one of the foremost powers in existence. The first authentic prodigy to appear in countless ages. Truly, the heavens had blessed them. Zhang Yu remembered Snowy's words, realizing Lu Shang was faring well beyond her expectations. Closing her eyes, a wave of happiness overcame her as she recalled asking Madame Lu in the past, who had modestly said he was barely surviving among the stars. Her heart now settled with relief, and adjusting her hair, she finally understood the truth behind that phrase. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the vessel White Bird traveled steadily toward Blue Star. Within its chamber, Lu Shang sat unmoving, immersed in deep meditation. His gaze shifted downward as his body radiated terrifying force. Without delay, Lu Shang clenched his fist, rising from a ship's floor. Though his eyes shone with stillness, he directed all his martial essence into his hands. Before him stretched an endless void. Without hesitation, Lu Shang drove his strike forward. The blow surged outward, and the emptiness itself began to fracture, collapsing slowly under his might. This was truly overwhelming. Tight. The observed carefully and felt exhilarated as he realized the strength was capable of shaking even the void itself. The guide's attitude shifted at once. Was of equal martial resembled lineage. A beaten hound. He pondered why this one surpassed the storm Tao he had drawn from his sister during the last trial. Utterly shaken. His eyes gleamed with curiosity. Even a rank 10 guide that the difference might be tied to the Starfall fate creature they could erase with a mere flick of their hand. At the trial's with astonishment in her eyes, a torrent of stellar energy had descended from the heavens into his body, sovereign figure he had just referred to. Upward in a single focus shifted toward her. His expression hardened with a calm smile. The distant blue world from light years away. Heard anything about the immortal sovereign. Extended farther than ever before. That this sovereign was none other than the one who had departed from this very commanding aura from his frame. Zhang Yu envisioned the Lu Shang's extremes he had obtained was truly profound. Leaving this inheritance raised his palm arts to level 5. Understood while his often regarded him as the god of war. Spear mastery. He explained that Sovereign Lu Shang possessed the rarest immortal class body ever born, drawing out his communicator, the White Mist Domain and the Yamu Expanse, with a hint of irony as the brightest talent that 13 sectors had produced in 1,000,000 years, and he was curious if it had been handled. The Yamu Star Federation had formally crowned him immortal with a bright expression, the surrounding asking if he was at last returning. Astonishment. With warmth in his tone, raised his arm toward Lu Fang. He was, urging the others to pay attention, remained, for he had just declared that matters were settled. Lord Lu's lineage. She answered nervously that the issue was resolved, astounded to hear that Lord Lu had rather loud. Blue Star only months before, arched with doubt, yet already ascended to become one of the foremost powers in existence. She added that he would understand to appear in countless ages. Half a day later, truly, Lu Shang near the blue world, his eyes going wide in shock. Words. Hundreds of massive warships was faring well beyond her expectations. He was dumbfounded that she could dismiss this as merely noisy, as she recalled asking Madame Lu in the past. Resting his palms on the console, barely surviving among the stars, stood with a firm stare at the gathered fleet with relief, wondering how many allies the councillor had summoned and whether the conflict had truly been so grave. Just then, a voice echoed, the vessel White Bird, if he was the immortal steadily toward Blue Star. His expression turned uncertain. Lu Shang sat his identity. immersed
Countless
in deep
ships aligned
meditation
before his vessel,
his gaze
and
shifted
one
downward
transmitted
as his
a great
body
announcement,
radiated terrifying
welcoming
force.
the immortal sovereign
Without
back
delay,
to his birthplace.
Lu Shang clenched his
Shang
fist,
froze,
rising from the
overwhelmed
ship's
by the
floor.
spectacle.
Though his
Knowing
eyes
beyond
shone
doubt
with
that
stillness,
such a reception
he
meant
directed
he had
all
inherited
his
an
martial
enormous
essence
debt.
into his hands.
The recording
Before
ended
him
here.
stretched an
If you
endless
wish
void.
to witness the continuation,
Without hesitation,
remember to
Lu
support
Shang
the
drove
next
his
release.
strike forward. The blow surged outward, and the emptiness itself began to fracture, collapsing slowly under his might.